Welcome to a special episode of Mystery Dungeon: A Path Through Time. I'm Eli, and sitting to my right is someone who is 100% ready for the fireworks.
What fireworks? Yeah. Hi, it's me, Evelyn. This is a 4th of July special mini-sode of the podcast. It's a documentary about the War of Light and Darkness, an event in the history of the Alcas region that was briefly discussed in Arc 1 of Not a Scratch, in which the state of Lux won its independence from Tennebris. For the real-world Independence Day, we felt that it would be nice to expand on the lore for this historical event, which bears absolutely no resemblance whatsoever to the American Revolution.
Now for a quick disclaimer. This is, of course, entirely our own headcanon and is not at all canon to the Not a Scratch universe. However, we have made our own version of the Not a Scratch map with some city names added to the Lux and Tennebris states. So we've stuck that map in the show notes so you can follow along with the battles. Now without further ado, let's blast burn on in. Lux was originally an independent state, but at some point, like 200 to 300 years ago, I guess, it was conquered by Tennebris, which was a kingdom at the time, because Tennebris wanted exclusive access to Lux's natural resources, particularly their zinc deposits, because, as you know, the vitamins in the Pokemon world are very expensive. So after Lux was under Tenebrian rule for over 100 years, the tensions built up and the Luxians decided that they wanted to become independent again. The main reason was the trade, the fact that Luxians were not easily able to trade with Mature and Petrum because the Tenebrian government heavily taxed their imports and exports to those areas. So the merchants of Lux were very mad, and because of this, they worked with pirates to try to smuggle zinc out of Lux, as well as other resources. Some of the main pirates that they used were Mankey D. Floofy, an Annihilate and captain of the Vital Spirit, and Wavy Jones the Octillery, captain of the Sniper. The Luxians also wanted more autonomy and the ability to create their own laws, which the Tenebrian government had not allowed them to do.
Things came to a head in December 1775, when Mankey D. Floofy's pirate ship was sailing out from Sunbeam City on the way to Thunder Tree City, smuggling 20 tons of zinc. Floofy was accompanied by a crew of 15 Luxians, including he the Empoleon. They had sailed about 2 units out from Sunbeam City Harbor when the ship was stopped by a Tenebrian Coast Guard ship. One of the officers on board the ship, a Bisharp, boarded the pirate ship and asked to inspect its contents. Now, Floofy was a known pirate, so the ship had to pose as a regular merchant ship, not a pirate ship. So they had he the Empoleon pose as its captain. He the Empoleon cooperated with the officer, but the officer discovered the zinc and ordered them to pay the export duty. He the Empoleon refused and threw the zinc overboard instead, and in the kerfuffle, the Bisharp was also thrown overboard. The resulting scandal led to a riot in Sunbeam City, where the trade restrictions that it symbolized were quite unpopular among the public. The Tenebrian army quickly came in and violently quashed the rebellion.
Now this led to Clyde the Zebstrika heading down from Sunbeam City to Amport, which was at that point the capital of Lux, and also the headquarters for the Lux Freedom Congress, which was the leading organization pushing for autonomy and independence in Lux. Clyde the Zebstrika brought the news of the scandal to them, and the very next day, Cassandra the Absol came from Briny Breeze Island to tell the Lux Freedom Congress of her premonition of an impending war, which corroborated Clyde's story that the Tenebrians would be coming soon to Lux. And so the Lux Freedom Congress decided they needed a militia and appointed Shaco Zappington the Luxray as the head of the militia, as he was the vice president of the LFC.
The first battle of the War of Light and Darkness took place in Fairdale, a small town southwest of Amport, in January 1776. Tenebris already had a few soldiers stationed in Lux, but not enough, so they sent reinforcements from mainland Tenebris to head towards Amport and crush the rebels. General Zappington foresaw the army reinforcements coming in from mainland Tenebris, so he brought his troops to meet the army at Fairdale. Clyde the Zebstrika fought alongside Zappington as a lieutenant general in the Lux militia. The leaders on the Tenebris side were Major Picard the Centiscorch and Major Waldo the Dusknoir. Ultimately, the Tenebrians were forced to retreat west to Jewelville.
And that leads us to the Battle of Jewelville in January of 1776. Jewelville is west of Fairdale near the Tenebrian border, and the Tenebrian army was joined by General Page the Zoroark, who managed to force the Lux army to retreat back to Amport after a battle with heavy losses on both sides.
The Lux militia were down for the count, at least for now, but they had friends to the east. Notori and Petrum were the most important trading partners of Lux, and had a vested interest in Lux breaking free from Tenebris' trade restrictions. So in February, the Lux Freedom Congress secretly sent some of its representatives to the heads of state of Notori and Petrum to ask them to join forces with the Luxians. They did, sending their armies and navies along with hundreds of mercenaries. This included Vegeta of the Hatsumi clan, Hikaru's great-great-grandfather and Infernate. Originally from Flama, he was a mercenary on the Notori side.
And then came the first naval battle of this war, the Battle of Vespera Sea, which is the sea north of Tenebris, which has a little bit over north of Lux as well. This was in March of 1776. The Lux side was led by Admiral Golf de Electros, who was joined by the Petrum Captain Louisa the Barbarical, the Nature Rear Admiral Charles the Blossom, and many pirate ships, including Mankey D. Floofy's Vital Spirit and Wavy Jones's Sniper. However, they were faced by Admiral Eyre the Sharpedo, Captain Klaus the Crawdont, and Vice Admiral Hook the Delmise from the Tenebris side, and Hook was able to take out enemy ships with just a single blow from his anchor. That is how Wavy Jones and his ship were lost in the battle.
You could say he went down to Wavy Jones' locker.
Sure could. Vegeta Hatsumi managed to set fire to 3 Tenebrian ships and captured all of their soldiers. He was also able to defeat Vice Admiral Hook with his powerful flamethrower attack. Lux eventually won, forcing the remaining Tenebrian ships to land and pursuing them all the way to Nightville, with several smaller skirmishes along the way.
The final battle of the War of Light and Darkness was the Battle of Nightville in June 1776. The Tenebrians suffered a crushing defeat, owing in large part to Shako Zappington's military tactics and the mercenary Vegeta Hatsumi's skill in fighting type moves. Within a few hours, Tenebris surrendered just outside the town of Nightville.
Which takes us to July 4th, 1776, Lux's Independence Day. This is the day that King George of Tenebris, a Tyranitar, formally recognized Lux as an independent state, and soon after, Shako Zappington was elected the first governor. Shako then appointed Mankey D. Floofy as the Minister of Trade, a courtesy to his valiant efforts throughout the war and even before, trying to bring their Luxian goods to the places without having to pay all the export taxes. Vegeta went back to Flama to start a family, Cassandra went back to Branny Breeze Island, and a new capital was established in New Shimmer City, which was then just a small village, slowly being built up into the vibrant city it is today.
Thank you for listening to this 4th of July special episode of A Path Through Time. I have been Evelyn.
And I've been Eli. Thank you for listening.
And until next time, enjoy the fireworks.